kids that I think zero tolerance went way too far on this one. But here are the stories. Again, we teach our kids to tell the truth. But again, this one might leave our kids a little confused. We've got two teens here who got in trouble despite being honest. First one, 17-year-old Texas high school student Chaz Seal. He says he's packing his lunch, accidentally grabs a can of beer instead of soda, as we laid out there, puts it in his lunchbox. So he realizes the mistake, brought the unopened can to teacher. So instead of applauding his honesty, the teacher reports him to the principal, and now he's been suspended and ordered to alternative school for 2 months. There's already a Facebook page out there called Stand for Chaz, and already has more than 500 likes, all agreeing that the punishment is unfair. So we got to ask, zero tolerance or zero common sense? And let's deal with student number 2. This is David Duren-Sanner, a senior at Clarksville, Tennessee. In a random search, authorities found a fishing knife in his car, a knife that belongs to his dad. David says he didn't even know it was there. Despite all that, David gets a 10-day suspension and 90 days in alternative school. Now, an online petition for David on change.org has 18,000 supporters. Again, we're asking, zero tolerance or zero common sense? To me, I think one equals the other. In zero tolerance is equaling zero common sense. Shannon Flory is with us now, an elementary school principal. I think both times the school's going too far. You're an elementary school principal, you got to have some rules. Did they go too far or not?
Well, based upon the situation that's been described, I would think that they would have a little more flexibility. The whole zero tolerance policy that's been enacted throughout schools in the United States are the result of concerns, community concerns with violence and things that have been happening in our nation's schools. However, it's very, very important that as school leaders, we have some degree of flexibility instead of a one-size-fits-all to be able to examine the totality of circumstances.
And before we get back into the specifics of these, don't you think people lose faith in you when you're so unbending and don't even listen to what sounds like a common sense explanation from what sounds like a couple of good kids here?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And the most important people that will lose the faith and confidence and trust in this particular case are the students. In both of these examples, these seem to be relatively good students. And the fact that the first student actually told his teacher, listen, I made an error. And the teacher has a responsibility to report it to the school administrator. However, in my opinion, the school administrator should have looked at all of the evidence and circumstances. The fact that this child came and brought it to our attention, it could have been an honest mistake, and the student should have been given the benefit of the doubt in this situation.
Yeah. Well, I was just digging around here, school policy, so let's read it together and get your take as an expert here. And this is David, and again, his dad's a fisherman, so they found the knife, and the dad said, it's probably been there for months. But anyway, here's the policy. Students are responsible for the contents of the vehicles they drive to school. Possession as used herein shall mean that the student knowingly and intentionally possessed the contraband. But again, you go back to dad's a fisherman, dad's truck, dad's knife, and everybody even forgot it was in there.
Right.
What do you do with all that up against a policy like this?
Well, it takes a special kind of person to say, hey, even though this is the policy, this is what I'm bound to follow, but let's go back and challenge the system. And that's what we really should do as school leaders. Sometimes the policies have really, really good intent, but based upon the circumstance, it does not achieve the purpose for which it was written.
Yeah, and you look at even the other example with Chaz, innocently grabs can of beer versus soda. And then you start, okay, wait a minute. Did he take a sip? Did he try and show it off to his buddies? No, he immediately goes to teacher. Why isn't that end of story right there?
Well, for the reasons, it's easy sometimes for educators not knowing exactly what to do, so the safest route is to follow the policy. As I said before, we have the responsibility as school leaders to say, okay, the policy is here, but it is flawed in this particular case, and to go and advocate on behalf of our kids. So let's think about this for a second. If we look at the research, these zero tolerance policies throughout the United States right now, there's a correlation that high levels of zero tolerance policies have an impact on high school graduation rates. And we know that that is a problem in our country right now. This kid is not trusting. You put these kids out of school. That could be a major turnoff to the point that this student's put in all this effort and this one little thing gets them kicked out of school. That's going to have a very adverse psychological impact on this child.
Have you had to deal with where you're up against it, where common sense action here versus policy, and you had to wrestle with it specifically?
Oh, absolutely. But that's what we do as school leaders. Sometimes students don't make the best decisions, but as teachers, we not only teach the core curriculum, we teach life skills. So there are always lessons to be learned. So if it's not an issue of a violent offense or something to that effect, I think we have, as school leaders, more flexibility than perhaps one may be led to believe.
Real quick, as all this plays out, you got mad parents on both ends here.
Sure.
Is the relationship between students, parents, and administrators and teachers a good one right now, or is it not, from your experience?
Well, I think it is very situational, depending upon the environment, but I think cultivating that relationship is really what it will take to get our community to understand this child. If this child was not suspended out of school based upon this offense, for them to have reasons as to why we made that decision and be able to stand behind those reasons.
Got it. Great stuff. Thanks again for your common sense expertise on this one. Appreciate it. We'll follow that and see if any changes are made if both the sides are appealing here. All right.